Prayer according to Sunnah. Today's chapter is Purification. So, as I mentioned before, we are doing a book of Salah, that is Prayer according to Sunnah, by compiler by Professor Muhammad Zulfiqar, and you can find it on Dar Salam. Let's begin. نحمد ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما آمين. Purification. So here the ruling of purification status. The purification of the body from impurities. Before one enters the Salah, it's obligatory, it's fard, according to both the Quran and the Sunnah. Allah says, in kuntum junuban fatahharu. If you are in a state of janaba, like impurity when husband and wife has the relationship or the discharge, so purify yourself. And this is mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah number 5 and 6. And also وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ, and purify your garments. And this is mentioned in Surah Al-Muddathir, ayah number 4. So here thiyab is from thawb, so you have to have the fatahir, clothes also. And inna allaha yuhibbu tawwabina wa yuhibbul mutatahhirin. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 222. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, inna allaha yuhibbul. Truly Allah loves those who turn to Him in repentance, and He loves those who purify themselves. Inna allaha yuhibbu tawwabina wa yuhibbul mutatahhirin, from tahara. There's a hadith, Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Miftahu salati tuhur. Purity is the key to Salah. Isn't it? Miftah. Miftah is the key. Key to Salah. Salati tuhur. So tahara, this is the purification. It's the key to Salah. And we'll see it's mentioned, and Salah is not accepted without purification. At-tuhuru shatrul iman. Purification is half of the faith. At-tuhur shatrul iman. So always we heard this purification is half of the iman. So tuhur is shatrul iman. So purify yourself for the sake of Allah, and that's the sunnah mentioned by Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's see kinds of purification. So there are two kinds of purification, taharatul qabd and taharatul had. There are two types of purification, internal and external. So internal purification is to purify the soul. So when we are purifying our soul, what is it? First and foremost, from the shirk, from the effects of sins, acts of disobedience, purification of the heart from the filth of polytheism. Polytheism, what I mentioned, is shirk. Doubt, envy, resentment, rancor, treachery, haughtiness, boasting, show off, all these kinds. And this purification is achieved how? Through sincerity, certitude, love of goodness, kindness, truthfulness, and modesty, and the intention to do every righteous deed for the sake of Allah. So whatever we are doing, do it for only lillahi, for the sake of Allah. If somebody is doing for this world or just to show off, how long it's going to be? How many years? Just few years, numbered years. But for the hereafter, it will be forever and ever. So a Muslim is never a loser. So being a Muslim, we want good deed forever and ever. So just do it for lillahi. So we have to come over all these problems which I mentioned now. So this is one kind of. So the external purification is how, whatever the filth is attached to your body, whether is the sweat, whether is, all the unwanted hair, you remove it, all the physical, all the physical things. So taharatul qalb is achieved by using pure water to remove filth from the worshipper, garments, body, and from the place of prayer. So remember this. When you are purifying yourself, you are clean and you are tahir. And if you are wearing clothes which are filled of, some smell, or it's not clean, what if it's not clean? That's not right to wear those kind of clothes. You should make sure those clothes are also tahir. And also the place where you pray. If you're not sure if it is clean or not, especially when you go out, what you have to do, look for the corners, because most of the people, they don't use corners, whether it's the airports or any public places. If you want to pray, look for the corner, because most of the corners are clean. So make sure whether you are praying at home or any other place, especially when you have pets at home, make sure they don't defect or something filled over there. And also when we have small children, especially infants, if they do something, just clean it that moment of time, because what we learn, at-tuhuru shatrul iman, purification is half of the faith, half of the iman. And taharul had is achieved by performing wudu, ablution, and ghusl, taking bath, and tayammum, wiping of the face, hands to the elbow with the pure earth. Tayammum, like how you have to do it, just wipe on the pure mud, and then on face and hands. You don't have to rub all the way, not that way. So kinds of impurity. Let's see the kinds of impurity. There's a major impurity and minor impurity. Major impurity is called hadad kubra, and minor is called hadad sughra. And by this time, if you're familiar with like small words like kubra, sughra, so you could understand in a better manner. But I'm gonna translate it in English. So there are two states of impurity or uncleanliness, major and minor. And major is called kubra. This is caused by an act or state which necessity for the ghusl. You have to take a bath. It's like a compulsory, mandatory. As I mentioned before, it can happen due to husband-wife relationship, due to discharge, like white discharge with the feelings, and also it due to bed dreams, and of course when you are in period, woman when she is in period, that is also is impurity. And we'll discuss this in detail in the chapter of ghusl. Okay. Minor impurity is hadath sughra. This is caused by an act or state that necessity wudu, ablution, such as urinating, defecting, and passing of the gas or sleeping, etc. But we know about these things except sleeping. People never bother to think that because of sleep they lose wudu. And many people, maybe they don't have knowledge about it. Don't be judgmental on the people and start giving fatwas, oh, this and that. Try to explain to them in a nice and better manner. Okay, sister, when you sleep, there will be not valid. Explain to them in nice manner. So what happens when you are in sleep? Like you lose the wudu, especially when you are in sound sleep. Like for a moment, like you are blinking your eyes, doesn't matter. You are still awake and you are waiting for the salah, and just you are blinking your eyes, or you are lying down but you didn't sleep. There's difference between that. Okay. If you are really you slept, it means you lost your wudu. You have to redo your wudu. And this also will discussed in the chapter of wudu. So what purifies? Purification is attained by two things. First and foremost, pure water. This is water in its natural state. This includes water from wells, springs, valleys, rivers, melted ice, ocean water. Why we are mentioning all these things? Because in olden days, they don't have this like, running water, tap water. Now we have, Alhamdulillah, but still, if you go in suburbs, in Asian countries, still they have scarcity of water. Still they get water from far away place. So just don't imagine just we have running water. Don't think everywhere it's there. So all the things mentioned here, whether you are taking from spring or you're taking from the rivers or melted ice, okay? So وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا, and we send down pure water from the sky, and this is mentioned in Surah Al-Furqan, ayah number 48. Abu Sa'id Hadith. Abu Sa'id Khudri radiallahu anhu said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, can we make wudu from Buza well? Buza was a well in which bad odors, objects were thrown, and Buza well was situated so that rainwater used to drain these objects into the well. Prophet ﷺ replied, Al-ma'u tuhurun la yunjasuhu shay'un. Water is pure and it has quality of purifying other things. Nothing makes it impure. So you have to understand this, okay? If you have running water, even though something went and then it purifies. Al-ma'u tuhurun. Ma is water. And tuhur, it's from tahara, yunjasuhu, and it purifies najasa. All najasa will be flows away. Shayin, it can be anything, but if it's running water, you have to remember that rule. Another hadith, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Huwa tahuru ma'uha hillu maitata." So here, river and sea water are purifying, and its dead animals are halal, lawful. So first half, huwa tuhuru ma'uha. Water is tuhur. It's pure. Okay? But the other half says, hello maitatuhu. And its dead animals are halal, lawful. So what are the dead animals in the water? Yes, in dead animals are fish, prawns, shrimps, that kind of thing we are talking about. Except there is an exception and difference of opinion regarding other things in the water. So just we stick to the list which we are allowed to. Let's not go into the detail of that because we are doing the chapter of purification. Let's stick to this chapter. This is another hadith. Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu narrated the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, let none of you urinate in stagnant water and then use it for washing. So remember this rule. If you urinate in stagnant water, then do not use it for washing. Do you understand? Like, water is stagnant. It's still, you urinated and that is a filth. You can't reuse it. So, لا يبولن أحدكم في الماء الدائم ثم يغتسل منه. Daim, it's still, it's from dawam, you can't use that. So remember this rule. What we learned previously, like running water, it's purified. But stagnant water, if you urinate in that, it's not purified. What about the swimming pools? It's not. And most of the time it happens in the swimming pool, especially small children, they urinate it. They don't even realize it. So never ever use the swimming pool water for doing wudu because there is a gray area. We are not sure about it. It is tuhur or not. But running water, we are sure about it. It's a tuhur. Because again and again, ma'an tahura from as-samai, from the rain, We get the tahur water. So that's the thing. There's another hadith. Prophet ﷺ said, let none of you who is in a state of janaba bathe in stagnant water. First was the thing mentioned not to use for washing. Okay? Because يَغْتَسِلُ الْمِنْحُ, do not use it for the washing. But here it's mentioned لا يغتسل أحدكم في الماء الدائم وهو جنوب. Like none of you who is in a state of janaba bath in a stagnant water. If it is still water and something is, some filth must be there. We don't know. Sometimes it happens in still water. Something may fall down, or you never know. Maybe some lizard is there. Maybe something which is harmful to us. Something venomous. We don't know. It happens, And especially where the area is very warm, whether in Asian countries or whether you go in the Pacific zone or the central zone of America, there you can find many venomous things. If it fell down into the water, what about the water? So it will be affected, isn't it? So you have to make sure that if it's running, you can use it. If it's not, then do not use it. That's the rule. What about the pure earth? The pure surface of the earth, whether dust, sand, stone, or salty earth deposits. Here also, again, one more rule here. For the earth, if it is pure, you have to remember, dogs are not defecting or any animal. You make sure about that. If it is clean, you're sure about it, then only you can use that dust. So what is the rule regarding that? You get that pouch of the dust, or you can make it from the pure dust. You can make a pack, especially when you are traveling internationally, when you don't have ma and water, you can use that sand and do the tayammum. So keep that bag handy with you, and you get online too. You can order and get it, but make sure that it's tahur, it's pure. Another hadith, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, the earth has been made for me as a place of prayer and purifier. Ju'ilat lil ardu tahuran wa masjida. Earth has been made for me as a place of prayer and purifier. So the whole earth is purified, except there is exception. What are the things? First of all, filth, physical filth, tangible, intangible filth. That is, what if there is a shrine? What if idols are there? So you should avoid praying over there. Earth can be used as a purifier in the event of the lack of water. What does it mean? Means for the tayammum. You don't have water, then you're going to use for the earth tayammum, or inability to use it because of illness or the like. And why we are doing tayammum? When you are sick, and when you are traveling. Allah says, and if you find no water, perform tayammum with clean earth. فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. If you have no water, then what you have to tajidu, you have to find tayammum, ma'an, tayammamu, like you don't have water, then what you are doing? Tayammamu, do the tayammum. Sa'idan tayyiba is the thing. Clean earth. So you have to find Sa'id and Tayyiba. I discussed already how it has to be clean. And Messenger of Allah ﷺ said in this hadith, pure earth is fit as a means of purification for the Muslim, even if he does not find water for 10 years. How many years? 10 years. If you don't find water for 10 years, if he finds it water, let him touch his skin with it. Let him use it for wudu. So what does it say? This hadith clearly says, pure earth is fit. This means here clearly saying for the tayammum. Okay? Means of purification. Inna sa'idan tayyiba tuhurul muslim. Wa illam yajidu. If you do not find yajidu alma, if you do not find the water. Ashara sinin, 10 years. فَإِذَا وَجَدَ الْمَاءَ فَلْيُمِسَّهُ بَشَرَتْهُ. So here, touching the skin means, when you use the water, the water will be touching your skin, isn't it? So if you do not find water for 10 years, that is the exception given. It doesn't mean that you have so much running water because of the laziness you are doing tayammum. No, that's not the way. Wordings are clearly mentioned. وَإِلَّمْ يَجِدُ الْمَاءَ. If you do not find the water, then ashara sinin, for 10 years. Then this is the thing. This is an exception. There are many countries, they have scarcity of water. They won't pray? No, they will pray. Doesn't matter they find the water or not. Still they can do tayammum. And faiza wajad al-mal, and if they found the water, then use it. And that will be good for the wudu. And another hadith, once Amir bin al-As radiallahu anhu performed tayammum because he was in a state of janaba. And I already discussed about the word janaba. I hope it is the impurity which is formed because of the sex. He did so because it was a frigid night, means it was very cold night, and especially in Arab countries, the cold nights will be very cold. You can't even, it's like, literally biting your body. And out of fear for himself, if he were to wash with the cold water, this was approved out by Allah's Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If it is water is very cold and it's very hard to take a shower, and because of that you are not taking it and you are just doing it tayammum, that's fine. Because of that cold water, one can die, isn't it? So that is the allowance in the deed. Purification from urinating and defecting. So here, purification from urinating and defecting, answer the call of nature in public places. Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu narrated that Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Save yourself from 2 acts which are cause of being cursed." The companions asked, "What are those acts?" Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Answering the call of nature on public roads." Which is the first one? You are urinating or defecting in public places, public roads. Under trees which people use as a shade. Which people use as a shade. So you don't have to use that thing, Ittaqul ainin qalu wa mal anani ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Qal allazi yataqalli fi tariqin nasa was zillahim. So tariqa, way, and annas, people, and all zillam is from zulul, like shades. So here on public roads and under trees which people use as a shade. You have to remember this because this is so important, and we have to give the knowledge to other people too. Relieving oneself under tree which people use as a shade or on a public road is a cause of annoyance, isn't it? People are using public roads, they are going from one place to another, and somebody is using for the urinating or other purpose. It's an annoyance for the people and may be a cause of impurity. How is it cause for impurity? Like, you're passing by, you are wearing a long garment and it may dip. And believe me, it happens. Even though you are very careful about it, but still it's possible. Especially, some dirty water is flowing on the road, and that time you realize how important it is to, protect our clothes that time. If they accidentally step onto the, urine or feces, what will happen? Again, you have to clean those things. So be careful about that. Even, you have to be careful even with your shoes. You remember that hadith when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was praying and he removed his shoes because Angel Jibril informed him like there is filth on the shoes. So that's how important it is. And what when we start the chapter, like nis iman is tuhuran, cleanliness. Okay, touching the private parts with right hand. Whenever any one of you drinks water, he should not breathe in the drinking water. And this is narrated by Abu Qatada. When you are drinking water, do not, breathe in that. You can breathe after that. And whenever any one of you goes to bathroom, he should neither touch his private part nor clean his private part with right hand. In this hadith, there are two things. First of all, as I mentioned the title, not touching the private part with right hand. So first half is mentioned when you're drinking water, one should not breathe in the water. Like from childhood, when we are very young, our parents used to tell us more and more not to breathe in the water. This is part of the Sunnah. And we take it very lightly. Oh, parents are, keep on saying this thing. But what was the reason for it? It's a Sunnah. Breathe in the drinking utensil. And the other half is when you are using washroom, do not touch the private parts with your right hand. We always use left hand. Even the left hand people, they try to use right for the good things and left for the defecting or using for the urinating and so forth. So do not use it. That's the part of the Sunnah. Okay. When you're outside and don't think like everywhere water is there or paper tissue is there. No, it's not so. Look at the olden time. They have only stones or mud and scarcity of water. So here, odd number of stones or other solid things that's mentioned what we can use for cleaning oneself if no water is there. There's a hadith Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Whoever clean his private part with a solid object should do with an odd amount of solid clean object." Okay, odd amount of solid clean object. But this is a exception. It doesn't mean that you have water, you have tissue, and you can wet that and still use it, and you can take some water in the bathroom and in the washroom and still it's not so. This is the exception. When there is no water, what if you went to trekking and you don't have water and there you find it just the solid clean object, then you can use that in that case and make sure that it's clean, because that's the part of the Sunnah. And also, what if it somebody defected or somebody use it, I mean to say animal did something on it, that will be a source of infection for you. First of all, we believe in Allah and what Allah sent the Sunnah, because our main intention to gain the good deeds. Then comes about the sciences of what it promotes and everything. Whether you are breathing in the water, later on people discover, oh, we can't breathe in the water and so and so forth. But actually what it is, it's a Sunnah. That's the reason we do it. Don't think about the scientific reasons, because we want good deeds from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here the main thing we learned, so when you are using any solid objects, again it has to be clean and in the odd numbers. Salman radiallahu anhu narrated, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has prohibited the use of less than 3 cloths for purification after using the washroom. Why not 3 cloths for purification? What if once you use it, it doesn't clean properly the second and the third time? Okay. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated, I follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam while he was going out to answer the call of nature. It's like not like today, like you have washroom and it's attached washroom and not so. There in the olden time, like at the time of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, for defecting, you have to go out very far place and somebody has to help, Somebody has to help him means carrying the water or so. I don't mean like personally. While he was going out to answer the call of nature, he used not to look this way or that. So when I approached near him, he said to me, "Fetch me some stones so I can clean myself after using the washroom, and do not bring a bone or a piece of dung." So what do we learn from here? Right now they don't have water. That's the reason Prophet ﷺ is asking to bring bone, not to bring a bone or a piece of dung. Dung means that, that filled which a cow defected. That's the thing talking about. And not the bone and not the dung. Stones we can use it, but not this thing. He prohibited that thing. So I brought the stones in the corner of my garment and placed them by his side, and I then went away from him. When he finished from answering the call of nature, he used them. So what we learn from this hadith? He used the stones. Here another hadith, Abdullah. It's a longer, this chapter is longer about purification. Abdullah radiallahu anhu narrated, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went out to answer the call of nature and asked me to bring 3 stones. How many? 3. I found 2 stones and searched for the third, but could not find it. So I took a dried piece of dung. He took a dried piece of dung and brought it to him. He took the 2 stones and threw away the dung and said, "This is a filthy thing." So what we learn from this, in previously already Rasulullah ﷺ clearly mentioned not to use bone and dung. But here he didn't find it any stone. He just got only 2 stones. So he thought he can take the dung. But what Rasulullah ﷺ said, this is a filthy thing. Before the availability of toilet paper, the Muslim used to wipe and clean themselves after using the bathroom with solid clean objects such as rocks. But Prophet ﷺ forbade the use of bones or animal dung for wiping and cleansing after using the washroom. Washing the private parts with water. Anas radiallahu anhu narrated, whenever Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to answer the call of nature, I, along with another boy, used to accompany him with a tumbler of water to wash his private parts. As I mentioned before, like, somebody will take the water and so on, but not personally helping him. Okay. Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to answer the call of nature. Water was brought to him in a vessel. He washed his private part with it. Then water was brought in another vessel and he made ablution with it. So he brought the water in the vessel. First he washed the private parts like he is done with the washroom. And then the water was brought in another vessel. Okay? Remember that. He is not using the same vessel. This mistake we should overcome, especially in suburbs or area where they don't have knowledge. They use the same vessel, which is a fill, which is a source of fill. And if you find out scientifically, medically, that's a source of infection. So here, the first half we learn, he washed it in one vessel. He cleaned it himself. Then in the another vessel, he used another vessel. He made ablution with it. So from this hadith, we learn 2 lessons. First of all, when you have to use the washroom, just go through that and clean yourself, your private parts. You're done with it. Then the second part, we learn that use another vessel, another tumbler, another, whatever the mug or anything you're using it, keep it separately. Because ablution, you wash your hands, you sniff your nose, you put water in your mouth. Can you use the same tumbler and same mug for the, cleaning your mouth? It's not, right? That's not right. If somebody is doing, just explain to them in a nice manner. First of all, it's for us. We are not gaining knowledge to criticize other people. We are gaining knowledge to first correct ourselves, to improve our salah, so that we get that khushu in our salah. So two separate containers and two separate mugs. If water is available, it is sufficient to clean the private part after using the bathroom with water. Okay, what about urinating into a hole? Abdullah bin Sargis radiallahu anhu narrated, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has forbidden for anyone to urinate in a hole. If one comes upon a hole that is not usually used for urinating or defecting in, then it's forbidden to urinate or defect in it. This is because it may be the home of an animal or jinn, and urinating or defecting in it will harm the creature residing in it. So two things mentioned here. It can be a home for an animal or a jinn. Some people, they say, oh, I don't believe in jinn. That's a part of the iman. If you don't believe in jinn, there is a surah jinn, and jinn has been mentioned several number of times in the Quran. So how can you deny that? So this can be a whole of animal and a jinn. And urinating or defecting, it will harm the creature. You are disturbing them. You are harming them. We are not supposed to do that. Especially, where this hole remind me of, snakes, especially venomous things will be there. First of all, it's a sunnah. We are not supposed to do that. Then later comes whether it's a venomous snake or anything, doesn't matter. Whatever is mentioned, samena batana. We heard it and we're going to do it. That's it. Urinating in bath area. Abdullah bin Mughfal radiallahu anhu narrated, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, do not any of you urinate in his bathing area. When you are a child, you don't have that much knowledge, you did it. But once you're adult, are you supposed to urinate when you're taking shower the same place? No, it's not, because we are not supposed to do the fill where we are taking the shower. You have to clean yourself, first use the bathroom and then go to the shower. Bathing area is a place of purification. It should not be made impure by taking it as a place of relieving oneself. But here, accept the exception. Sometimes you go to suburbs and there is no way out. Then also you will clean it first after that. But in the exception. But here, what is the hukum? What is the order? One should not urinate the same place where they are taking the shower. We can also deduce from this hadith that we should use separate vessels for wudu, what I explained previously, and washing after relieving oneself, except when there is some compulsion to use the same vessel for both functions. Maybe you don't have any other vessel. As I mentioned before, there can be exception, but that time also you have to be really careful. First of all, it's a sunnah, and the second thing, many infection can be caused because of the even the urinating, and that may cause so many infections, so many bacteria will be there. You have to be careful about it. Our sunnah is based on natural things, believe in that, have that part of the iman. Severe pressure of the call of nature invalidates the salah. Like, you have that urge of that going to the washroom, but still you are not going and praying. Are you supposed to do that? No. First relieve yourself. Go to the washroom, relieve yourself, do the wudu and come and do the salah. Prophet ﷺ said, he who has to answer the call of nature, he should first do so, then perform the salah. So what is the hukum here? One has to go to the washroom and relieve him or herself, then perform salah. You won't get that khushu also. But here also some exceptions. What if you are in haram and washrooms are very far and you can't even go there? Only like you're stuck in middle. You can't even go to washroom. You can't even, relieve, you can't even miss the prayer. That time also it's hard. Better to, before time, you should use washroom and clean yourself and do wudu and come. Because everybody knows about their body. If you feel so, better be prepared before the salah. Whether you are in Makkah or Medina, whether you are going for salah, whether you are outside, whether you are at home, relieve oneself. Allah's Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when one has his meal before him or one is under severe pressure to relieve himself, one's prayer is not valid. So what we learn from this? Like meal has been set up or one is in a severe pressure of relieving oneself, then their prayer is not valid. But here one thing we have to understand. Some people, if they go to washroom, they spend so much time and after they come, like especially for what about the Fajr and the Maghrib prayer? We don't have much time though. Don't spend hours and hours because if you have that problem, go early before the time and relieve yourself and get the wudu done. And what about the meal? Here it says one's prayer is not valid. You have that hunger spans and table has been set and you want to have the food and then wants to pray. So keep the moderation. Don't spend so much time in eating that Maghrib time is gone. Or so much time in eating that, Fajr Salah, like I'm talking about a suhoor. So you should be moderate in that. If you're implementing this hadith, do not exceed the limits. This is because if he were to pray while in severe pressure to relieve himself, or if he were to pray while he is hungry and the meal is before him, he will not be able to properly concentrate on the salah. So this is the allowance is given, but use in a moderate manner. Don't spend hours and hours and you are delaying the salah so much. Okay, strict orders to avoid the splashes of urine. This thing you have to be very careful, especially after relieving yourself. If you are using, that splashing oneself with more pressure, it may, that fall on you, the urine thing. So you have to avoid those things. We have to be really careful when you go to washroom. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu narrated, once Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was passing through one of the hijr, means garden or graveyard of Medina or Makkah, and he heard the voices of two persons who were being tortured in their graves. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, these two persons are being tortured for what we do not consider a major sin. What sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying? What we do not consider a major sin. Indeed, one of them never saved himself being soiled with his urine. Always the drops of urine. While the other used to go about with the calumnies to make enmity between two friends. You're talking about one person on to the other person and making a fight between them too. So these two things were, because of that, there is a azab in the grave. Prophet ﷺ then asked for a green branch of a date palm tree. He asked for a green branch or a date palm, broke into two pieces. He broke it into two pieces and put on each grave. He put on the grave, each grave. On being asked why he had done so, he replied, I hope that their torture might be lessened by the time these become dry. The branches were green, and Rasulullah said, I am putting these branches, by the time they dry, the torture will be less. So the Prophet ﷺ action was a kind of invocation to Allah for the deceased person. He was making a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to less the azab of the grave. And I think because of this, many people, they use this reference and they put more and more flower things. But hadith, we have to take the literal meaning. Here he did, and he was a prophet and he made dua. and we are not prophet, we are normal human beings. So he did this act to lessen the azab of the grave. Taharatul Qabd. Taharatul Qabd is to purify one's garment, body, and surroundings, such as a place of prayer, from impurities. A list of number of instances of impurities and method of their purification. So first we'll discuss about floor soiled with urine. Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu narrated, a Bedouin stood up and started urinating in the mosque. Because Bedouin, they are people of suburbs. They don't have knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah because they were in the faraway place and they were not in contact with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So their tarbiyah is not that way how the Sahaba were. So Bedouin came and he was urinating. The people caught him, but Prophet ﷺ ordered them, leave him and pour a bucket or a tumbler of water over the place where he has urinated. And you have been sent to make things easy, not to make them difficult. Look at the behavior of Rasulullah ﷺ. One is urinating in the masjid, but he didn't stop because that person, he's an ignorant person, he don't have knowledge, and once he went there and he's relieving himself, you can't stop him, right? So over the place, and here Rasulullah said to make the things easy, not to make things difficult. Sometimes it happens that that moment of time you can't do tarbiyah, you can't make them understand. Do you understand? Like, that moment you are trying to explain or understand, they don't. Later on, you can tell them. It happens in our daily life. It's not the literal way. Somebody will be doing this kind of act, but some other way. But later on, you can tell them. Garment soiled with the blood of a period, menses. Asma Bintey Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu narrated that a woman asked Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam what to do with a cloth soiled with the blood of period or menses. He replied, she should rub it off with her fingers and put it in the water and rub it in order to remove the traces of blood and then pour water over it. Then she can offer prayer in it. Do you understand? You wore that dress and it has the blood of the period, and have you noticed the blood of the period will be very thick, but if you rub it off with your fingers, it will go off, and after that you should wash it with water and rub it, and if you put some soap on it, it will go off, it will remove the stains, and after once the stains are removed, you're good to use that even for the prayer. That's what it's mentioned. Vatusalli fihi. You can still pray in it. She can offer prayer in it. Many people, they ask this question. Okay, the period blood has been stuck, and what about, like, she didn't realize it when she was wearing it, when she was tuhur, when she was clean, that time she realized it has that blood. As soon as you notice it, just wipe it out, clean it off. Whether you are in a period or not, doesn't matter. One Muslim will be in tahur, always in cleanliness, always in purity. So that moment of time, try to clean it. But what is the way of cleaning it? Rub it off with the fingers and making it clean with the water, and then apply some soap. Okay? Then she can good to use for the prayer too. Garment soiled with sperm or semen. Aisha radiallahu anhu narrated. This question also many people they have in the mind. I used to wash the traces of semen of the clothes of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he used to go for salah while the traces of water were still visible. So here, if semen is stuck on it, what you should do? The same way how you clean the blood, the same way semen you can clean it with the water, and you have to clean it completely. But if the water is visible, that's okay, but not the traces of the semen. Okay. Al-ma'a fi sawbihi. It's not says like not the semen or sperm stuck to it. That's a filth. You have to wipe it off, clean it off, and water is still there. That's fine. Okay. garment soiled with the urine of the suckling. Qais bin Mihsan radiallahu anhu narrated, I brought my young son, who had not started eating. The infant, they didn't start eating, talking about their urinating, okay? Ordering food to Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who took him and made him sit in his lap. Who? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The child urinated on the garment of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked for water. He asked for water and sprinkled over the soiled area and did not wash it. What do you learn from this? First of all, that child didn't start eating. He was on the suckling of the, just milk. And he didn't start the food yet. And that baby was sitting in the lap of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that baby urinated. And what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, to sprinkle the water and did not wash it. Okay. Lubaba bin Haris radiallahu anhu narrated that Hussein bin Ali radiallahu anhu, who was still a suckling, urinated in the lap of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She told to him to wear some other garments and give that one, which he was then wearing, to her for washing. Thereupon he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, urinate of infant suckling female is washed, while the urine of the infant male is treated with sprinkling of water. You have to understand this. If the infant is female, you have to wash. Why is it so? I'm going to explain. For the female, you have to wash the whole thing. But for the male, you are just sprinkling the water. And we are talking about the infant who is not eating yet. He's just drinking the milk. Few months. Means under the 6 months. So here what we learn, because of the things, how the male and female Allah made us. So for the female, if they urinate, it will be there. Okay. And one has to wash it. But for the female I'm talking about. But for the male, sprinkling of water is fine. Okay. But remember, they are under 6 months. They didn't start eating anything. After 6 months, hukum is different. Okay. Soiled shoes. Abu Sa'id radiallahu anhu narrated that Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when any one of you come into the masjid, he should look at his shoes. And if shoes are dirty, he must rub them on the earth and then perform salah in them. One has to look at the shoe. If it's dirty, then you have to rub it off. When you are wearing the shoes and doing the salah. And remember, here when we go to masjid, we remove our shoes outside and go into the masjid. What if even though you are removing shoes outside, then still do not go with the filth on the shoes. You have to remove it. If a dog drinks water from a vessel, what one should do? Abdullah bin Mughfil radiallahu anhu narrated, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a dog drinks water from a vessel, wash that vessel 7 times. يَغْسِلْهُ سَبْعَ مِرَارٍ 7 times. With water and clean it with soil. How many times? 7 times with water. Then clean it with soil before washing it with soap for the first time. That's how it should be. Okay. Hide leather of a dead animal. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu narrated, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw a dead sheep, which he had been given in charity to free the slave girl of Maimuna radiallahu anha, the wife of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, why don't you benefit from its hide? They said, it's dead. He replied, only to eat its meat is illegal. You understand, some of the animals, its meat is not allowed, forbidden, but their skin, they can use it in a different purpose. So Ummahatul Mumineen, Sauda radiallahu anhu narrated, one of our sheep died, and we tanned its skin and kept on infusing dates in it till it was a worn out water skin. Here, like after the dead sheep, uh, it was not sacrificed. So you're not supposed to use the dead sheep meat, even though it's halal. But that time it was not, you didn't do the sacrificial thing. So it's not zabiha. So it's not halal. So what one will do? Their skin, they removed it and use it. They tanned the skin and use it for the different purpose. I'm not talking about, the animals which are haram, like a pig or any other, and you're using that skin. No, I'm not. Because I felt like maybe it may lead to some misunderstanding. So I just want to clear that. Even though sometimes it happens, like, some accident happens, some deer is, dead, or some sheep or cow, but still you can use their skin for the other purposes. I'm not talking about the animals which are forbidden, not that way. Usama radiallahu anhu narrated, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has forbidden the use of the hides of the beast unless tanned. One hides of the beast they can use, but unless it is tanned. Anything tasted by cat. Kabisha bin Ka'b radiallahu anhu narrated that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, anything tasted by a cat remains pure. So this is the sunnah. Once it's tasted by cat, it's still pure. And the last thing in this chapter of purification is eating in gold and silver vessel. Is it allowed? What hadith says? Salama radiallahu anha narrated that Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he who eats in the vessel of gold and silver amasses of fire of hell in his body. Fi batanihi nara jahannam. If one is eating in gold and silver vessel, they are as if fire of hell in his body. So it's completely forbidden. We are not supposed to use the gold and silver vessels for eating. What about the olden days? Maybe they don't have knowledge about it. Just give 70 excuses why we are so much judgmental about the people. We don't know. Maybe they have lack of knowledge, don't have the proper knowledge of it. So here in the purification, we learn like Sugra and Kubra, major and minor impurities, and when it is allowed, and what are the different way. And we have seen about the stagnant water and the flowing water, and how the tayammum is allowed. The whole thing we covered in this. جزاك الله خيرا كثيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك